If nothing else, Ezra believes in freedom of speech, which is why I knew when half the world exploded because some newspaper in Denmark published cartoons of the Prophet Muhammad. I knew Ezra would republish those cartoons so we could see what all the fuss was about. Yes, it would offend people, but I knew he'd do it anyway because that's what Ezra does. But hey, it's a free country. Well, it used to be. Since then, he spent over $100,000 defending his right to republish the cartoons. But if we're not careful, if we force the Ezras in this country to shut up, our freedom of speech could be next.
2 years ago, as Moses mentioned, our little magazine, the Western Standard, published the Danish cartoons of Mohammed. Not as an act of defiance, it wasn't on our cover, it wasn't anything showy, it was just to show our readers what all the fuss was about. These Danish cartoons had been the excuse for rioting around the Muslim world. Over 100 people were killed. Our readers wanted to know what it was about. We were a fortnightly magazine. We only came out every 14 days, so we thought for sure the National Post is going to run them because they're pretty conservative, and the Sun, well, that's very tabloidy, and well, if Ken White took over Maclean's, they'll be spicy. We thought we would be the last guys to do it, so it was a small story. But as our publication date came near, we realized we're going to be the only people doing it, and indeed, we were the only media of any size in Canada, TV or print, to run those cartoons. I have been prosecuted by the government of Alberta through an agency called the Alberta Human Rights Commission, where 15 bureaucrats have been working for 800 days on my case. I'm an industry. I'm a major crime scene.
In 1982, the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms guaranteed, quote, everyone has the following fundamental freedoms: freedom of conscience and religion, freedom of thought, belief, opinion, and expression, including freedom of the press and other media of communication. Those were even called fundamental freedoms to give them extra importance. For a government bureaucrat to call any publisher or anyone else to an investigation to be quizzed about his political or religious expression is a violation of 800 years of common law, a universal declaration of rights, a Bill of Rights, and a Charter of Rights. This commission is applying Saudi values, not Canadian values. It is also deeply procedurally one-sided and unjust. The complainant, in this case a radical Muslim imam who was trained at an officially anti-Semitic university in Saudi Arabia, and who was called for Sharia law to govern Canada, doesn't have to pay a penny. Alberta taxpayers pay for the prosecution of the complaint against the magazine. The victims of the complaints, like the Western Standard, have to pay for their own lawyers from their own pockets. Even if we win, we lose. The process has become the punishment. At this point, I'd like to thank the magazine's many donors who have given their own money to help us fight against the Saudi imam and his enablers in the Alberta government. It is procedurally unfair. Unlike real courts, there is no way to apply for a dismissal of nuisance lawsuits. Common law rules of evidence don't apply. Rules of court don't apply. It is a system that is part Kafka and part Stalin. Even this interrogation today, at which I appear under protest, saw the commission tell me who I could or could not bring with me as my counsel and advisors. I have no faith in this farcical commission, but I do have faith in the justice and good sense of my fellow Albertans and Canadians. I believe that the better they understand this case, the more shocked they will be. I am here under compulsion to answer the commission's questions, but it is not I who am on trial or will be on trial. It is the freedom of all Canadians. You may start your interrogation.
This is about bending the knee and telling Justin Trudeau you're with him on political and moral issues. Last question by Kapelos. I thought it was a good one. Take a look.
But I just want to be clear here. Are you ruling out adding the attestation box to other government employment programs?
I would say that, when we're delivering funding for programs through the Canadian government, we need to be reflective of the rights that Canadians have and the right for Canadians to, to experience, whether it's employment experiences in a non-discriminatory way.
I'm sorry, that's a bigot right there. By the way, of course this will be expanded, of course it will be, and of course the Liberals think you're politically guilty until you publicly swear to the government that you're not. Isn't that creepy? It is a charter right to be a dissident, by the way. You can disagree with anything and everything the government does.
So let's recap. The greatest violation of civil liberties in Canadian history has been the lockdowns. When there's a peaceful rebellion, really 100,000 protesters from coast to coast, not one act of violence. Have you ever heard of anything more peaceful in your life? Trudeau cracks down on it by removing due process and targeting the finances of anyone who supports his critics. He's introduced Bill C-11, an internet censorship law. Is there a real threat to security?
Mr. Bourla, can I ask you, when did you know that the vaccines didn't stop transmission? How long did you know that without saying it publicly?
Thank you very much.
I'm sorry. Answer that question. I mean, we now know that the vaccines didn't stop transmission, but why did you keep it secret? You said it was 100% effective, then 90%, then 80%, then 70%. But we now know that the vaccines do not stop transmission. Why did you keep that secret?
Have a nice day.
I won't have a nice day until I know the answer. Why did you keep it a secret that your vaccine did not stop transmission?
Is it time to apologise to the world, sir? To give refunds back to the countries that poured all their money into your vaccine that doesn't work, your ineffective vaccine?
Are you used to only sympathetic media, so you don't know how to answer any questions?
Is that it? Shame on you, sir.
Shame on you. That's Albert Bourla, the boss of Pfizer. His people were pushing us around a little bit.
Mate, he's pretty fit. I don't reckon he's had one jab.
I'm huffing and puffing a bit. At least I didn't have any myocarditis.
I dare say he's shocked that in his safe space at the WEF here in Davos that he was challenged in a way that he's never to date been challenged.
Well, that's the thing. We're not accredited media here. We're on the outside of the perimeter. So he's only used to the softballs from CNN and MSNBC and people like that. I asked him a real question about product liability. No answer. A real question about Pfizer's past deceptive practices. You know, they paid the largest fine in American history to the Justice Department for deceptive marketing. I don't know if that's underway right now. I don't know if they're being investigated, but I think they should be. When did he know that the vaccine didn't actually stop transmission? I wanted to find out because surely he knew before we knew. Why didn't he tell us? I don't know, Avi, I'm really proud of that question. It was like a kind of walking scrum.